G'day folks and welcome to the Vookcast, Australia's Nintendo podcast. My name's Oliver Brandt and with me this week are Angelo Valdivia,
Hey, paisanos.
Michael Goncalves,
Hey, team.
and Luke Henderson.
Howdy, howdy.
Every single time Angelo says something dumb and we all just lose it because we should all expect it by now.
What?
But
I
just
always
everybody
remember,
forgets it.
as you say the first lines, I always remember that Angelo's going to say something really dumb. And then that's when I start smiling. I can see it in the video. Like, Ollie will start talking and then I'll start smiling because I remember that Angelo's going to be an idiot.
I said nothing.
What? No. Usually
Whatever.
it's just a high volume. This time it was like just super chill.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm a
what
chill
threw
guy.
everyone off.
I'm a chill guy.
We've got a great episode lined up for you in this After Dark episode because we're recording at 9 p.m. All about a new Mortal Kombat game, which is very appropriate for an After Dark episode. Pac-Man 99 closing down, Tears of the Kingdom, and a whole bunch more. But first, let's talk about Nintendo Switch Online because there were more games added, and I kind of want to. The first two topics kind of lead into each other and lead into a larger discussion that we've had a few times. So 3 more Super Mario Advance titles have been added to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. So you've got Super Mario Advance, which is Super Mario Bros. 2. You got Super Mario Advance 2, which is Super Mario World, and Super Mario Advance 3, which is Yoshi's Island. Now, Super Mario Advance 4, which is Super Mario Bros. 3, was already in the launch games. This is an incredibly confusing naming scheme, and I don't understand why they did it in this specific order. But all of the
Nintendo.
Super Mario... Yeah, pretty much. All of the Super Mario Advance games are now on the online service, which is good, but they kind of all should have been there from the get-go anyway. I don't understand why they've just only added them months after, but it's Nintendo.
And they're also all there on their original platforms.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Is that all of these games, you can play them on the Nintendo, the NES app, or the Super Nintendo app, or the Game Boy Advance app. It's why? I mean, granted, I will say the Super Mario Advance 3 is by far the best version of Yoshi's Island. Except for the soundtrack, which is just total ass. And the other ones are fine. I think Super Mario Advance, which is SMB2, is pretty enjoyable. And I think the physics have been refined a bit to be a bit more enjoyable. But otherwise, yeah, we could play these games already in the All Stars version or the original versions. So yeah, it's a little bit of a lackluster thing. Still no Golden Sun, which is I think the only thing anybody cares about anymore. Very surprised they didn't just chuck Advance Wars on there for the release of Advance Wars.
I feel that would undercut people buying the new game if they could just get the original.
Yeah, but
release,
they've done it with other things as well, so it's I don't know. They should put it on there anyway eventually.
It may also arguably be the better version, so maybe they didn't want to do that.
Yeah, arguably. Anyway, yeah, so this is just another thing that they've added to it. There's no schedule, no rhyme or reason to when these things come, why these specific games come. They're trying to figure it out or predict it is a fool's errand. We in the book Slack, we kind of make predictions and get fairly close to when something's gonna happen, but I don't think we've ever been right about what platform is gonna drop.
No,
I think
we figured GBA, but we were probably thinking one of the ones they said were coming, not 3 games they hadn't even announced yet.
Yeah. So yeah. We won't get into a discussion about this too much. Apart from, I just want to know if people enjoy the Super Mario Advance games.
Yeah, I was saying in the Vook's Discord that playing Super Mario Advance 2, so Super Mario World, was the way I actually first completed Super Mario World. So I have fond memories of that, but also at the same time, it's on SNES, so...
Yeah. And it's a bit like that across the board, right? It's I played the heck out of Super Mario Advance 2 as a child as well. But I also had a Super Nintendo, so I could play it on Super Nintendo at the time too. Even at the time, it was weird to me that I was playing the game that I already had on Super Nintendo on the GBA. But at the time, it was okay, well, I can play these games portably now. I can play them wherever I want. But we can already do that with the Switch and the Super Nintendo versions of them. So it's I don't know. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I will say, as somebody who worked in retail when these games came out, and I saw them on the shelves, and I was like, cool, they're not for me. I already have played these games, and I already own these games on their other platforms. I never played them, and I have no desire to play them now. They're fine games. They're just not for me. Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is that like if you boot up any of these games and you want to play like the e-reader levels, you can like do that right from the get-go. Like you don't have to play through the entire game to do that. You can just like go into a different menu and then select e-reader levels and just play those. And
you mentioned that. I'm just now thinking it surprises me they haven't released. They didn't release these basic versions and then 2 months later drop another game like Golden Sun and throw in the SP version of this that adds the e-reader stuff in.
Yeah, so I kind of expected that they were going to do that, but I'm really surprised and glad that they didn't. But yeah, the e-reader levels, I think, especially for Yoshi's Island, are like quite good. I think it makes Yoshi's Island like a really well-rounded experience to have those e-reader levels in there. But anyway, yeah.
I just want to make the point though that without these games, and I was just reliving these, which is why I was bopping along. The ads that came out for the games way back in the day, like for Super Mario Advance, for example, where just everyone's having a free-for-all at an airport, just throwing stuff at each other, was the best. And I'd forgotten about the second and third ones. The second one is just so weird. Like there's a shot of Luigi on like a little rock formation at a over the ocean during a sunset, like just waving a massive like orange or yellow cape or something like that in the wind, and then he just lets go and it just like beautifully flies away, and it's just so ridiculous. Luke, you gotta include these in the video version of the podcast or something. They're so good.
Yep.
And then the third one, because it's Yoshi's Island, like Yoshi's just standing at an intersection with a little girl. A little girl like points out that he's standing next to her, and he just grabs an egg and throws it and just completely destroys a car. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love these ads back in the day.
Yeah,
I can see why.
We don't get ads like this. Instead, we get like ads that make you like existentially sad, like the Tears of the Kingdom ad that everybody just lost their minds over.
These ads came out in an era when PlayStation was making those absolutely bonkers, stupidly cerebral, nonsensical, like David Lynchian kind of ads, and then Nintendo was just completely having fun.
Yeah. Anyway, I expect like in 5 months' time or whatever, we'll get like the GBA versions of the Donkey Kong Country games and nothing else. So, look forward to that, I guess.
Yay!
Sort of more going into Nintendo Switch Online stuff. Pac-Man 99's online modes are getting shut down later this year, October 8th. So the entire game is getting shut down. If you have the DLC that you've purchased, you can still play the offline modes, but all of the online stuff is just gone. It'll also be delisted from the eShop altogether. So this is kind of basically the same as what happened with Super Mario Bros. 35. And I don't know, it's weird because like I'm sure that like very few people were playing Pac-Man 99, right? Chances are like filling a lobby in that game was probably quite difficult. Even at launch, I remember like not even getting to the full 99 most of the time. But like just like shutting it down and removing it from the eShop, like it's dumb. It was dumb with Super Mario Bros. 35, and it's dumb here. And like, it's sort of, I don't know. Vook was kind of going off in the Vook Slack about this, so it's like, it's actively removing value from Nintendo Switch Online. Like when October 8 rolls around, it will be like your subscription fee will buy you less than it did previously, and like that's kind of a bad look because they're not really adding anything to that. Like they're not adding like more DLC to the expansion pack. They just seem to have stopped doing that altogether. It's cool that they're adding Game Boy games, but they're not like the games that we already have, right? And even if they add like Golden Sun, that's cool, but like that's maybe a month of gameplay, and then what about the next 11 months of my subscription, right? So yeah, I just like, is it still, I don't know, do we think it's still worth it, and do we think that Pac-Man 99 shutting down changes the value proposition of Nintendo Switch Online? Because like, I haven't played Pac-Man 99 beyond like the first day that it came out. So it doesn't really affect me, but like, it's still like, you know,
It's
objectively
a
less
boneheaded
valuable.
decision because it's taking away something that doesn't cost them money because people are already paying for it. Whether or not people play the game, they're still paying for it. But I don't. I played the game once on launch day, and I was like, Echo, this is like the worst way to play Pac-Man, and I just never played it again. So
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Angelo, no thoughts?
I forgot this game even existed. So, but like,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like I got the thing. I was like, wait, that's a Pac-Man 99, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I remember that from like 2 years ago.
yeah, like does
Yeah.
Tetris 99 still exist? Is that still
Yeah.
around?
That's
Yeah,
super
they-
popular still.
Yeah, I was
They
gonna
had-
say like that's the only
yeah,
one
a
that
couple
really
weeks ago.
stuck, right? Like I'm sure people played Super Mario Brothers 35, but I think everyone just kind of forgot about it once it shut down.
yeah,
I
I mean,
think
nobody really
people
talks
would
about it
still be
anymore.
playing it if it still existed for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah. The thing is, right, like the kind of gameplay, like Tetris 99 sort of built off the sort of battle gameplay that we've already seen in Tetris before, right? It's something that is kind of like inherent to the series, and it kind of works, right? Super Mario Brothers 35, it's just like, okay, I mean, there's spawning more enemies that like kind of works within the game world. Like Pac-Man 99 was just like, oh yeah, here's some more ghosts, I guess. It's gonna be like a little bit more difficult for you, but like it didn't really fit with how Pac-Man works to have like that extra stuff there. So like,
I mean,
I don't know.
if people are super desperate, there's like 7 different versions of Pac-Man on the Switch already.
Yeah.
That they can
And I
play.
think
So
you even get like one of them for free with the arcade thing.
So the Namco Museum, which is a
Yep.
bunch of old school games, comes with the Pac-Man Versus game that Miyamoto worked on for the GameCube back in the day. That used the GBA link cable, and the multiplayer aspect of that is free to download, but somebody has to own the original game first.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's there.
I mean, look, let's not pussyfoot around here. Pac-Man absolutely peaked at Pac-Man Championship Edition DX. That was the absolute high point of that series. That game was straight up crack cocaine. It was so good. And like since then, like Pac-Man hasn't really been relevant at all. So like, I don't know. I'm not gonna miss it.
Yeah.
I didn't know it
Don't
existed.
tell Bandai that they tried pushing that hard for its 40th anniversary.
So I got Bandai on the line over here. I'm on the phone with their CEO. I'm gonna let him know in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, I think, like, it's more just a case of Nintendo not wanting to pay for the license for Pac-Man anymore. Like, it's probably, like, around the time of license renewal, and they're like, not worth it. Nobody's playing it.
Well, it's just kind of sniffs of like a modern version of Satellaview in a way. How there's all these games that you can only play in a very specific time frame, like almost, kind of like Satellaview in the sense that, you could only connect up and play at like 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on a Friday and that kind of thing. Games only exist for just a fleeting moment. I mean, like, I'm sure we're going to get other versions of this. Like, let's all look forward to like Lilac Wars 99 or some ridiculous thing like that. And then it'll just, again, get shut down in like 12 months. So, like,
I will
whatever.
say, now that we have, like, Nintendo Switch Online, and everybody's got a Switch and a fucking subscription to Nintendo Switch Online, they could do, like, Satellaview, like, justice, right? Like, they have all of the stuff for Satellaview just, like, sitting there on their servers ready to go. I don't see why they wouldn't just, like, implement that into Nintendo Switch Online, because I think people would enjoy, like, that kind of, like, the history of that and how Satellaview worked, because it was never really released outside of Japan, so...
I legit thought you were going to go just random and pull like Boxboy 99 or Pushmo 99 or something random like that. I didn't think you were going to Satellaview.
Pushmo. That could be
Pushmo.
interesting.
Good
and-
99 idea we had. Remember we talked about all these 99 games in a previous episode? And there was one killer idea, and I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember that conversation.
No.
I remember the
that'd be-
conversation, but I don't remember the outcome.
Is it Leisure Suit Layton 99?
Oh my
69.
god.
69. There we go.
Oh,
Oh man.
no. I mean, if our listeners remember, let us know, because
Yeah.
we sure don't. And we are not
Might
going
have
to go
been
back through...
no. One of the ideas might have been Bubble Bobble 99, but I don't think that was the idea.
Oh, yeah. That could work. That could be
Yeah.
good. Balloon Fight
But I think, like-
99. An actual battle royale.
Hmm.
That would be alright.
I mean, I honestly think, like, Ice Climbers could work as a 99 game as well. It's not
Yeah.
a great game, but it could
Mm.
work. Yeah. Or like, you know, the one that we all want is Urban Champion 99.
Of course.
Wrecking Crew.
Or Clue Clue Land. I've been a big fan of Clue Clue Land for a real long time.
What's the timer, boys? How long into the episode before Ollie mentioned Quickly Lands? Someone jot it down.
Yeah, so I don't know. They're removing it from this. I don't think like this is like a big like blow to like the value proposition of Nintendo Switch Online, but like it still is a kind of a bad look to just be like taking stuff away.
It's the same thing now that Xbox did last year when they dropped the Xbox 360 games from Game Pass, from Games with Gold. You're still paying the same dollar amount every month, but you're getting 2 less games. And now that's the standard. You get 2 games a month instead of 4, but you're still paying the same amount per month. And I get it. That's supposed to be a bonus. Paying for the ability to play online. I get that, but some people weren't paying for the online to play online. They were paying for the online to get the free games. So it's the same thing here, where the price isn't decreasing, but the included content is, and it's not a good look.
Can I just bring up a total side note before we move on? Angelo, are you wearing a PlayStation hoodie on a Nintendo podcast?
I am, but hold on.
All right, absolved.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
Underneath this sick PlayStation exterior is a layer of Mario Kart.
Clearly, Angelo has a hands-on with the Nintendo PlayStation prototype.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. No, I wear this jacket pretty often. It's just the only hoodie that I have, so.
It's totally fine. I'm not actually angry.
No, that's fine. I don't care.
Cast him out of the podcast.
All right, so moving on. Mortal Kombat is getting rebooted.
Again.
Again. This will be the 3rd game that is kind of referred to as Mortal Kombat, because it's Mortal Kombat 1, just to make it stand out from Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat.
Taking a page out of Xbox's book.
Yeah, so this is a total reboot of the series in a universe created by the sun god Liu Kang, which happened at the end of Mortal Kombat 11.
Spoilers,
End
man.
of the story mode there, which, yeah, nobody's gonna care about spoilers for like a 4-year-old game. Anyway, it's kind of a bit weird because like it's coming to Switch and all of these other things on September 19, but it's coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Switch, right? There's no like PS4 or Xbox One in there. It's just next-gen consoles, PC, and Switch somehow, which is super weird. According to Warner Brothers, and I do not believe this for a second, all platforms will have rollback netcode. Now, Switch basically never gets rollback netcode. In basically every other game, it's just not there. So I'm very doubtful.
For absolute normal people like me, what is rollback netcode and why is that a thing to
Okay,
worry about?
so rollback netcode, I mean, Michael probably knows it better than I do, but my general understanding of it is that...
I would jump in and correct you like an asshole when you say something wrong.
Rollback netcode is sort of... It's considered the gold standard of netcode for like PvP fighting games and that kind of thing. And my understanding, I believe, is that it ensures like the server is a little bit predictive in that like it kind of knows, it makes its best guess about like where players are going to be, but then it sort of like rolls back the status of the game to make sure everybody's in sync. As opposed to something like Nintendo does, where it just freezes and waits for everyone to catch up in the server ping.
The quickest way you can describe it is think of it the 5-second delay on live broadcast. Live broadcast, they have that 5-second delay just in case somebody swears. It's essentially that, but for video games. That's the quickest way.
Yeah, think of it like both people are playing basically offline mode, like they're not even playing multiplayer. And then the server just gets those inputs and then does the algorithm magic to determine what is correct through a ton of math, basically. So
but so it's basically like we see a lot in like Switch games in particular. There'll be online modes where like in Splatoon, for example, you'll shoot someone and then like they won't die until like several seconds later, and rollback kind of prevents that because it makes sure that everybody's on the same page rather than prioritizing any particular console or any particular platform in the connection, right? It's like the servers kind of like, or the algorithms are kind of like making the decision of like what is considered like, you know, the baseline of what legally happened, right? But it weights both players' inputs equally rather than trying to decide who has the best ping and therefore we should weight this one, that kind of thing. So it's generally considered the best for fighting games, but it's not so great in particular when there's like more than 2 connections in play. So like something like Smash Brothers with 8 players wouldn't necessarily benefit all that much from rollback netcode, because like trying to resolve that many connections at once leads to what will look like some unfair outcomes. But when it's just like 2 connections and a pretty straightforward set of facts for the algorithm to figure out, it's generally considered pretty good. Anyway,
cool.
That aside, the Switch version the thing is like it's quite generally intensive to figure that out, because each game is running a version of the algorithm to resolve that, and then just connecting with the server to make sure they're on the same page. And the Switch misses out because it is quite computationally intensive. So like there are games that have been like upgraded, like the Dragon Ball Fighters is rollback on every other platform now, but not on Switch, and a bunch of other games as well. Anyway, I'm just surprised that like this game is even going to be on Switch in the first place, because like
I will say I called this in the Slack when this was like hinted at a while ago as coming to Switch. I said it's probably Shiver Entertainment doing it, and it turns out it is Shiver Entertainment. They're the folks that did Mortal Kombat 11 for Switch, so which is a very, very good version of that game. There's obviously the graphical issues aside, it still plays beautifully. So
yeah, so we can expect that it will be largely kind of solid. It's just weird that they're just like, oh yeah, no, we can put it on Switch, this like tablet that's running hardware from like 2014, but like we can't put it on PS4.
I don't think so. I think it's just more of a decision. It's not worth doing it. You know, they're focusing on the next gen PlayStation, because this is not the first game to do that. There's actually been a few this year that are doing it. Don't Nod have a game coming out next month.
They do,
and it's PC, Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. So I think it's main because the main studio only has so many people that they can work on it, whereas the Switch stuff is generally, you know, booted out to another developer.
Yeah. So what do we think about this? Have people like? There's no gameplay for this, right? They have not shown a single second of gameplay, which is really annoying because they're accepting pre-orders for the $250 special super edition of the game. Yeah. What I mean, do people care about Mortal Kombat? I should point out as well, just before we get too deep into the discussion, this is like also a year where we're getting Mortal Kombat, we're getting Street Fighter and Tekken all in one year, which is kind of just like a golden year for fighting game fans.
Just need a new Soul Calibur to top that off.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors of it, so you know, maybe we'll get one by the end of the year. But yeah, so do people care about Mortal Kombat, and will you play Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch? I'm guessing probably not.
I will say that there's the 2 things that sort of concern me about this. One is that in the reveal trailer, the logo has the 1 in the middle, so technically reads Mortal 1 Combat, which is just stupid. And the second one is they're like, oh, this is a reboot of the series. It's like, yeah, but apart from the weirdos who deep dive into the lore of Mortal Kombat, the general player doesn't give a shit. They just want to have the ice guy fight the fire guy. So calling it a reboot and then throwing the same characters with the same moves in the same sort of settings is not gonna impress anyone outside of those diehard lore fans.
Luke, have you considered that they have a new hat? Because they have new designs.
But they have new designs in every game.
Malibu Stacy, calm down.
But that's not a reason to reboot a series. Like if they rebooted Mario and just gave him, you know, a sombrero instead of a you know, little whatever the hat type is that he has now, that's not you know, reboot worthy. I think it's fine. More Mortal Kombat's always a good thing, but it's like people really wanted another Injustice. And when NetherRealm last year announced a new Mortal Kombat game, and it's like, it's a collectible card game for mobile phones, people kind of went, have they lost the plot? And I think them rebooting a game that didn't really need to be rebooted leads.
Don't you have a mobile phone?
Calm down, Blizzard.
Like I'll jump into it once it comes to either Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Extra or whatever it is. Like that's kind of the only way that I play Mortal Kombat. It's like I'm not going to go out of my way to play a fighting game that I'm literally only going to play through the story just to see how absolutely bonkers everything is going. Because the stories in these games make again, just like those PlayStation ads from the 2000s, make absolutely no sense whatsoever. So they're just popcorn. It's just absolute junk food. Like I don't mean that in a bad way. Like some games are forward-moving pieces of, commentary art or something like that, and some are just people just making their heads explode all over the ground. Like, and that's fine.
Mortal Kombat is a Michael Bay film, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, it is truly the Transformers of the fighting game landscape.
So I use Fast and Furious as my reference piece.
The trailer was sick. Like it was super, super gory.
It was super weird, right? Because like the whole thing is like everyone's kind of like, the whole world has been remade and these characters exist in a completely different circumstance, and there's all these lovely sunsets and locales and stuff, and then they just literally smush their heads on the ground and cut their throats open. I'm like, the tone whiplash in this trailer is just.
Well, what's funny, right, is like the press release that I got for this was like, oh yeah, the sun god Liu Kang has created a universe of peace. And I was like, are you sure? Because I watched that trailer and that does not look peaceful.
He literally strung up a dude by his arms and then grabbed his head and smushed his head through his body into the ground. Like, what?
They clearly they used the wrong.
It was fucking sick.
I'm not debating that. It just made it made no sense.
They clearly meant he's made a world of pieces. It's in the people in it fall to pieces.
I think this goes back to a conversation that we were having when the Mortal Kombat movie came out. Like everyone expects the Mortal Kombat movies to be like incredible. Like, this is a video game adaptation. It's going to be great. Got to show respect to the stuff. These games make no friggin' sense. Like, why is anyone entitled to a better story in the film than they are to the games? Like, the games are nonsense. Like, Mortal Kombat is what it is. It's just pure violence and ridiculous gore. Like that's all it is, and it's fun. It's great. I love it. I can't wait to play it in a year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'll check it out. I kind of like just like messing around in fighting games, even if I never get good at them.
The thing about fighting games is that they all play I don't know if I'll say wildly different, but they do play differently. And in order to be good at any one, you have to spend so much time learning, the mechanics of what to do, like in the wider scope of the game, and then minutely like how each character works. So there's just so much to learn. It's like
you can't just learn your character either, because you need to learn how every other character works, so you know exactly what you're getting into when you get into a fight. And it's like, I just don't have the time for that, right?
Nah.
Or you can do what I've been doing since 1993 and just roll your thumb over all the buttons at once and pray to the game gods that it'll all work.
Look, I've won many a Tekken 3 match just by mashing the keys while playing as Eddie Gordo.
The only fighting game apart from Smash, that I bothered to learn was Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, like way back in the day. And even then, I was only playing with quarter circle characters. I was not playing with the, I don't even know what you call them, the hold characters, where you have to like hold back and then forward punch and crap.
See, I got really into Dragon Ball Fighters, because that's my favorite Dragon Ball character in it, Boo. And then I just like learned how to do like one really good combo with him, and then just spammed that through like literally the entire story mode, and then played some online and did the same thing. And I was like, cool, well, I've won a match online, I'm done.
Yeah, everyone has the one fighting game they learn. Mine was Soul Calibur 2. I just put in a disgusting amount of time into Soul Calibur 2. I actually played through the story mode. It's the only fighting game I've ever played through story mode.
Was that the GameCube
Which version of the game?
Yeah, GameCube. The correct version.
You didn't want the Spawn one in Xbox?
No, because you just play with Link, right? Then take a character over to the edge of the level when they have out of bounds levels, and you can just do a grab roll, and it grab rolls him off the stage, and you automatically win. It's the cheapest character in the game. It's beautiful.
I still love when they tangent on that again, but when they did the Xbox 360 PS3 versions of, I think it was Soul Calibur 4, where they put Darth Vader on the Xbox and Yoda on the PlayStation, and nobody bought the PlayStation version because everyone wanted to play as Darth Vader.
Did we mention the DLC characters? I can't remember in this. The forthcoming characters?
because they were kind of leaked, right? Not official, but definitely official because Amazon didn't just pull it out of its ass. But yeah, if you want to talk about the DLC characters, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I can't remember what they were.
I
just remember they were cool.
Homelander from The Boys, Omni-Man from
Invincible.
Help me out here. Invincible, thank you. And then Peacemaker from Peacemaker.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Homelander, yeah, whatever, but Omni-Man, that could be interesting.
Omni-Man, it's like it makes so much sense when you think about it to like have like invincible characters in Mortal Kombat because like it's literally just like the same thing.
Well, it'll be interesting because it's not like Fortnite where they'll keep the actual art style of the character that exists in its medium. Like they'll very likely make it, you know, super realistic looking and stuff. So
also, if you do want to spend $250 on the Super Special Edition, you get a skin for Johnny Cage that is just Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's just him. Like it's not anything else. It's just him as he is. So I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but I mean, why not? In Dead by Daylight, you can just play as Nicolas Cage just by himself. He's a monster.
That's so wild. Like
I love it so much.
Insane DLC.
Yeah, more of that. Just like put random guys into things.
Well, I mean, Mortal Kombat 11 had the Terminator and Joker and a whole bunch of other random characters. So
they should have made like an actual $500 collector's edition, which was just Johnny Cage's sunglasses from the first film that he like kicks Goro's ass over.
Yeah,
way better.
Moving on to something that's likely to be a little bit more family friendly, but maybe not. We'll see. So Game Freak is working on a new IP. So for people who somehow don't know, Game Freak is the developer of Pokemon. They're working on a new IP that's going to be published by Private Division, which is a division of Take-Two. So this is part of something that they have internally at Game Freak called Gear Project, which is a program designed to let developers take a little bit of a break with Pokemon and work on their own smaller projects with a small team and outsourced development and all that kind of stuff. So in the past, the Gear Project has given us games like Little Town Hero, Tembo the Badass Elephant, which was a terrible game, and Giga Wrecker, which was an okay game.
Didn't Giga Wrecker just relaunch last year on Switch?
Yeah, Giga Wrecker Alt.
Yeah.
Which was quite good. It was previously on PC only, but then it got reworked for Switch and other consoles. So this is probably not going to come to Switch, just because it's being done by Private Division, and like Private Division do have stuff on Switch. Generally, not going to happen. But yeah, I really like this the Gear Project stuff. I think it's a really good idea. And I think more developers that work on like singular series should be allowed to do this kind of stuff, right? Because like imagine like you work at Game Freak, right? You've spent like the last 15 years of your career solely making Pokemon games. You want to do something different.
And then the last 5 years of making Pokemon games, everyone's just absolutely ragging on the fact that the games look like butt.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the artwork for this game, like the concept art, it looks like the Switch couldn't even run the concept art, let alone like the final
exactly.
game.
So yeah, that's one of the reasons I think it's probably unlikely to come to Switch. Just the art direction that they've got going for them in the concept art alone does not feel like a Switch thing. But it's not going to be coming out till like 2025 anyway. So you know there may be more powerful hardware by then. I would really fucking hope there's more powerful Nintendo hardware by 2025.
Oh my god! I'm impressed it's not a mobile game riddled with microtransactions.
It might be. The thing is, they've not announced any platforms.
Yeah,
it's true. But looking at, I mean, what's a picture, right? So who knows what this game will be? But
yeah, I mean, like I really liked Little Town Hero. I am very much in the minority there. People hated Little Town Hero, but I loved the heck out of that. It also had Toby Fox as a composer, which was kind of nice. And now he's like a part composer for the Pokemon series. But yeah, I think it's just a nice idea to let Pokemon devs just do something that's not Pokemon for a while. If only people at like Activision could like not work on Call of Duty for like, you know, even just a day. But that's never gonna happen.
No.
But
maybe they can
yeah.
work on Overwatch.
Well, we'll get to that. Something that is going to come on Switch, but not anytime soon, apparently. Hollow Knight Silksong. You know, it was intended to launch in the first half of this year. It's not going to happen. So it's been delayed, and they haven't given a release window or anything. I don't know. Maybe it'll come out this year. I don't believe it's real. I've played it, and I still don't believe it's real. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
If it ever comes out.
I just think it's one of these games. I think honestly, I'm concerned we're gonna have the sports story saga, where it's gonna launch. It's just gonna have a bunch of issues. Not because it's broken across the board, but it's just gonna have issues here and there. It's gonna mar the experience because it's just been in development for so long. So
I definitely worry
my
about
concern.
scope creep in games like this when they have such a small team and this was originally a DLC for Hollow Knight, and then it spun out into its own game, and then in 2019 they were telling me that it was almost done, and here we are 4 years later, and it's still not done. I do worry about scope creep, but I mean, I liked Hollow Knight, and Silksong, what I've played so far, was quite fun, so we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be a Duke Nukem Forever situation.
Well, see, the thing is, right?
When Hornet's just flinging poo?
No,
yes, that is what I was going for. Exactly that.
I mean, what's kind of funny is that like people are like, I don't know, Team Cherry, who's developing it, Adelaide Devs, they trademarked like a new name that is like unrelated to Hollow Knight, and people like if they announce like another game before Hollow Knight coming out, that would just be like the biggest fucking troll, and I kind of hope that they do it. But
I was just thinking that's something that another developer does, but I don't want to say their name. I don't want to give them any power.
yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
I knew you would.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine if it eventually comes out. But I was 100% sure Angelo will back me up on this. I was 100% sure it was coming out in like the first 3 months of this year, and I was very much wrong.
Back you up on this, dude. I was not at all convinced this game was coming out
No,
this
what
year.
I'm saying, right, is like you'll back me up that I was very wrong about it, right?
Oh,
like I was telling you that like I was pretty sure it was coming in the first 3 months.
I'm just like, oh yeah, 100%. I'll back you up on that. You were wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. Until it's out, I don't believe it exists. And again, I have literally played it, and I still don't believe it exists. So.
Was that anyone's prediction for this year? Anything to do with Hollow Knight?
No. No, because I think we all just kind of assumed that it would come out, and I don't know. It's not going to come out. It's never going to come out. It'll be like I'll be, the year 2065, and I'll be on my deathbed and like get like a notification on my phone. It's like, oh, Hollow Knight Silksong still isn't out.
No, you'll get a notification saying that it's coming out in 6 months, and you're on your deathbed.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move into our feature discussion, because I don't know if people listening to this have noticed, but quite a big game came out a couple days ago. Lego 2K Drive. I have
the press kit for that game is fantastic. They gave me free Lego.
Yeah, unfortunately the game is like horribly broken and wipes your progress with really no rhyme or reason.
Right.
Yeah, let's not talk about Lego 2K Drive.
No.
Because I lost 6 hours of progress to that stupid bug. Anyway, let's talk about Tears of the Kingdom. I just deleted a link. So Tears of the Kingdom came out quite good. Vook gave it a 5 out of 5 on
quite good.
Review.
Oliver Brandt of Vookcast.com.au has said.
Yeah. So I hated Breath of the Wild. I've spoken about it at length on the podcast in the past.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. I thought it was just a mid-tier game, one of the worst Zeldas of all time.
One of the worst Zeldas. Oliver Brandt of Books.com.au.
Yeah, so I think as a Zelda game, it failed spectacularly. It was a fine game. It was a fine
Dear
game,
Lord.
but it wasn't a good Zelda game. Tears of the Kingdom, I've been absolutely enjoying the heck out of it, and let me tell you why. No, so like basically Breath of the Wild, right? My main issues with Breath of the Wild was that like the incentive given to explore the world and like defeat enemies and stuff was being able to continue to explore the world and defeat enemies, and I didn't really enjoy that gameplay loop. Also, the like not being able to climb up a mountain when it's raining was just like an arse decision, and I think whoever did that at Nintendo should be fired. But Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry, my other issue with Breath of the Wild was that all of the story, all of the interesting stuff that happened, right? It's all told entirely in the past, right? You don't get to play the interesting things that happen. You just get to view the memories of it, totally out of order if that's the way that you encounter them, and it's totally optional. So it's like, what's the point, right? All of the interesting story in Breath of the Wild is stuff that happened 100 years ago. Never really get to play it. Boring as shit. Anyway, Tears of the Kingdom. Much, much better. The story is really, really interesting. I am super engaged in it. Characterization is great. I met the young Rito guy. I can't remember his name. Tulin. Really cool dude. I like him a lot. He was super, super annoying in the bit where he helps you out because he did not help me out. But
yeah,
you know, he's a cool character, and like there's stuff going on with Zelda. I don't want to spoil it because I know Angelo hasn't played too much of it. And Michael is like halfway through Breath of the Wild, so
halfway. Calm down.
But yeah, I mean, there's cool like traditional Zelda stuff in it. Like, I mean, everybody kind of knows this by now, but like there are actual dungeons, which there just wasn't in Breath of the Wild. And like I was playing one of the dungeons earlier today, and I was like literally just like wandering around, like just firing arrows at stuff and just like throwing stuff at other stuff, and I was like, wow, this really feels like a Zelda game. Because it is, and it does feel like it. And I don't know, the being able to fuse stuff is like a really clever solution to weapon durability, because like I always want to fuse stuff to other stuff, and like I don't really care if my weapons break because like I've got a stick and there's a rock on the ground, or like, oh, a choo-choo jelly, what if I stick that on a spear and now it's an electrified spear? That's cool. So yeah, a lot of stuff that I'm really, really enjoying. I think it has fixed almost everything about Breath of the Wild that I didn't like. You still can't climb in the rain unless you do a whole bunch of missions to get a particular type of outfit that lets you climb in the rain. I think you can do like elixirs as well, but I'd never cook.
Yes,
so
you can.
That's never
Yeah,
happened.
there's sticky frogs. Sticky frogs will let you stick.
But yeah, just I don't know. I don't do any of the like building machine stuff. I've seen people make some just absolutely wild shit. But
How many Koroks have you sacrificed?
Okay, so the first Korok that I found, right? I was like, okay, or like after I got off the tutorial island, I was like, okay, his friend is just like, you know, at the bottom of a hill. So I just like kind of pushed him down the hill a bit, and he rolled all the way down the hill to his friend, and that was fine. And then the second one that I came across, right? I attached him to a balloon because I had like just a balloon that I had found, and then like sent it up into the air, and then like this big like flying monster like ran into it, broke the balloon, and then he fell into a chasm. So that's about the extent of like rescuing Koroks. But I will say it's quite annoying. I have not been able to find the big Korok dude, Hestu. I know where he should be. I know where he should be the first time, right? He's not in the town, and he's not where he should be the first time, according to all of the guides that I've found. So I have like 40 Korok seeds, and I just haven't done anything with them.
And no inventory space.
Yeah, I was just like, I got 4 shields, and it's like, okay, well, this boss fight that I'm about to go up to, like, I'm gonna need more than 4 shields. I've been walking around for like half an hour trying to find this like fat bloody Korok dude. Just doesn't exist. Anyway. Yeah, good game. Really good game.
Yeah. I mean, I've been putting a lot of time into it for my review, but I'm not. It's not a 10 out of 10 game, and I honestly question anyone who's given it a perfect score. I've had a number of technical issues, like characters popping up in front of me, textures not loading, all that sort of stuff. Textures I sort of give a pass to because most of the time I don't care if the rock texture half a mile away doesn't load up correctly. But I was literally walking down a road and a guy on a horse and his cart behind him spawned on top of me. Like I was just walking along and all of a sudden I'm on the ground because the cart's spawned. It's like, okay, that's just weird. But the other thing that's sort of, like, one of the things that's annoying me is the like Tulin and the other people that come with you into the dungeons. Like you can call on them to activate special powers, except whenever you want them, they're never anywhere near you. They just run off and do their own thing.
Okay, so I'm halfway through, minus spoilers here, I'm halfway through the lightning temple right now. And like, I don't know where she is. She's just like not there. Like, I don't know how to progress because she's not there. I had to like teleport out and teleport back in to get her to respawn because she just like stopped following me at one point and I don't know where she is. So
yeah, because there's no stairs up to the top. She's like, I'll let you handle this. And I'm like,
no,
my first thought was, you haven't done a damn thing this entire time. What do you mean you'll let me handle it now? So yeah, I have issues with them because they, especially in that boss fight, you need her ability, and I'm running away trying to stay alive from fighting the enemies, and she's on the other half of the bloody room, and I'm like, you can't activate the power unless you're standing next to them, and then when you activate the power, they just stand still while while they're charging up. It's like, okay. But the other thing that's that really irks me on it is I feel like it's an expansion, not a new game. And I get there's more, there's the above and all that. But I'm running around the world and I was running past the Great Plateau and I was like, oh God, I need arrows. There's a stable, in the last game, there was a stable up and around the corner. So I went up around the corner and there was the stable. So, I'm like, I've spent 100+ hours in Breath of the Wild. So I'm like, I know the world. And I'm just like, I'm running around the same place I've spent all this time already. And it's like, there's just nothing new for me on the surface world. And I feel like it's a big letdown personally, is that, I get it's the same world, it's the same characters, but it's like, it just feels like I've already done this. And I don't know that's what I was hoping for from, the next mainline Zelda game. Yeah. I have other issues, but they're all sort of spoilery, so I won't say anything on them. But
the cutscenes, that's the other big one. So every time you activate a Skyview tower, you have to watch this like minute-long cutscene, and it is just the most infuriating thing. It was cool the first time.
That's the same thing. You go into a shrine, it's the same cutscene when you activate a shrine, when you walk into the shrine, when you collect the orb at the end of the shrine, when you
can skip all those though.
You can,
yeah, but not entirely. There's like a certain amount that you have to watch every single time.
Yeah. So as someone who's currently playing through Breath of the Wild, like I'm finding that supremely annoying. So you unlock a shrine, there's an animation. You go down to the shrine, there's a little intro animation. You finish the shrine, there's an unlock animation. And all these things you can't just skip them. They just fade to black and then unfade. So there's still a time where you have to go through and see like random crap. And it's for every single one. And I'm like, I've done maybe maybe 10 shrines so far in the game. And I'm like, and 10 shrines in, I want to die. Like, it's too much already. Like, I just have no patience for this stuff anymore. It's just really irritating.
I think the talking stuff that annoys me is like, especially at the end of the shrines, they're like, you watch the cutscene and Link gets the orb, and then the game's like, this is the orb, this is what it does. It's like, yeah, you know how many I've collected. Stop telling me what this thing I've collected 50 of is already, please. It's like Skyward Sword on the Wii was that, right? Remember how, you'd pick up a rupee. It's like, this is worth 1 rupee. And it's like, okay, I've got 500, stop it. And then, you jump back into the game. This is worth it. It's like, and they fixed that in the HD remaster. They said, yeah, cool. We'll tell you once, then we won't tell you again because you have known. That addition needed to come into this game because I'm sick and tired of, oh, you've picked up this item. It's like, yeah, okay, I know what it is. I don't need you to tell me every time like it's a, thing. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I'm getting angry.
There is some like quality of life stuff that I quite enjoy as well. So like if you've got a full weapon inventory and then you find a weapon that is stronger than one of your current weapons, it will say like, "Hey, do you want to drop one of these weapons and pick up this new
Oh,
weapon?" Which is like
so
quite
good.
nice.
I would kill for that in Breath of the Wild right now. Like, holy shit.
Well, another quality of life addition is that it saves your recipes as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
Something new.
you can
I
just
think
look up your
I
recipe
talked about
book
that previously. How much I wanted like a recipe book in the game. Like
Yeah.
that just seems like a no-brainer. I'm so glad they added that. That's awesome.
Yeah, they definitely did.
The one thing that
useful.
I would have loved for them to have done, some of the characters would be like, "Oh my god, Link, I haven't seen you. What have you been up to?" You know, because they know Link. And that's great and all, but it's like I went in Breath of the Wild, you can build a house or buy a house, I should say. And I bought the house and I filled it with my stuff and put my fancy weapons on display that I didn't want to break because weapon durability sucks. And then I went to the house in Tears of the Kingdom and it's not my house.
Yep.
It's Zelda's house. It's like, hang on, no, this is Link's house.
got
Zelda
a castle.
wasn't around. Yeah, that's she's got all this
Well,
other.
Taking out real estate.
The thing is, right, if you read her diary, it kind of like hints that like Link and Zelda are living together. So like it is Zelda's house, but it's also Link's house, and they're
She has a
doing the
castle.
dirty. Yeah, I mean there is more housing stuff later in the game.
Yes.
But yeah, I
I
don't know. Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say I'm loving it. Like I haven't played much of it. I just remember that because I've just been pressed for time lately. It's been my bedtime game, and I remember that I did get past the introduction area. I have made it to the surface, and the thing that kind of struck me was what I thought was interesting. I'll say it. Like I disagree with Ollie about the whole like cutscenes thing and like learning the story as you go out of order. Coming to terms with the fact that things happened 100 years ago, and then you meet these characters who, these champions who already tried to save the world, and they all unfortunately failed and they died. But their spirit is still with you, and you work through, and they give you abilities and things like that. And I think the story opens up in that way, which I found was really interesting. And with this game, what really struck me is that you go down to the surface, and like Luke said, like people know who you are. Like people remember the great deeds that you did in the previous game in terms of like saving the world. And what I really like is that in the first game, everything seemed the apocalypse basically happened, right? The calamities happened. Everything's already terrible. Everyone's just trying to live through that, and they have been for 100 years. People that are alive and young now weren't alive back in the day when it happened, but there are some characters who are around, like Impa, for example. And in this game, like now the world is basically reborn. The game is basically all about rebuilding a whole new world, and everyone's kind of like optimistic and things are great. And you're sort of coming across these new characters who you may not have come across, but they know who you are, or at least they know the legend of what you've achieved and Zelda and all these kinds of things. And I think that's kind of interesting because even in other Zelda games, we don't really get that. There are games that do tie into each other, and they talk about like this hero of time or this lost hero that once existed, but you're a reincarnation of that hero. It becomes apparent later on through the game, but in this game, like you are the same character from the first game, which is really, really cool. We haven't had that before.
Well, we have Spirit Tracks, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I mean, like Spirit Tracks, it's a DS weird train game, not.
Yeah, and yes, the world is sort of similar, but like again, gameplay wise, it's wildly different, right? Like, there's not really a coherent through line there. Whereas with this game, the thing that kind of disappoints me, and this is just purely me because I'm treating it as my bedtime game at the moment, is the whole Ultra Hand gluing things together thing. Because when I'm playing it and I'm literally about to fall asleep or whatever, and I'm just getting tired and I just want to play a game and just kind of like let the game make a lot of choices for me, I hate sitting there and thinking, okay, I've got to utilize both sides of my brain and try to stick these things together and try to find this ridiculous outcome to solve this puzzle. And again, that's just the way that I play. But at the moment, I'm just like, oh, I just want to shoot the thing and continue the game. I don't want to.
I do want to bring up one issue with the world that I'm sort of annoyed with is that there's no single remnant of any of the technology from Breath of the Wild. There's no,
as in like the Guardians.
There's no Guardians, skeletons around the place.
Yeah,
the
got rid of those guys.
The giant camel that wandered the desert, in Breath of the Wild. Sorry, Michael, spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not around anymore. It's like the giant elephant that was perched on top of the Zora Mountain area.
So there is some explanation for that if you know where to look, but it's dumb.
I don't know. I don't
Basically,
care. Like,
they're just
I
like,
don't care that it's gone, but it's like the fact that it's all gone. It's like a clean reset, and all this stuff that's fallen from the sky. It's like it's cool. Half of this stuff looks like it's been there for 100 years already, but it's fallen from the sky like 2 weeks ago. Like it's something. Yeah, I just feel like they haven't really done a great job of connecting the two together, apart from the random people that know Link.
What's the time period between these games? Like in world?
5-ish years, like 3
Okay.
to 5-ish years. It's not explicit about it, but like some characters have aged to the point where it's like, well, there has to be like 3 to 5-ish years later.
Pura
like, there's
aged the hell up though.
Yeah, but she did it herself with stupid
Oh yeah,
technology
absolutely.
magic.
She de-aged in the first game and then re-aged.
I have to say though, I went. I can't think of her name. She's now the chief of the village.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
God.
Hatno village chief. Yeah.
No,
Oh,
the other one.
Kakariko. Yeah,
Kakariko.
yeah.
That's it. I couldn't think of the name. In Breath of the Wild, if you walked in without any clothes on, she would freak out because she, doesn't deal with men all that well. And I was like, I wonder if she still does it now that she's the chief. And when I spoke to her with, just nothing on, she just like turns around and she's like, I won't talk to you until you put clothes on. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
God damn it, Luke.
I will say another thing that was like making this game feel really like Zelda-y for me in a way that Breath of the Wild didn't is that in Breath of the Wild, pretty much everyone you meet, everyone you interact with, everywhere you go, sort of their entire existence is like in service of like Link's story, right? So like it's all about the calamity that's going on. It's all about like, helping Link get to Zelda, all of that kind of stuff. You don't really meet people that are just kind of like out there living their lives. There's not like drama going on that isn't related to the calamity and Zelda being there. I mean, like it is. There are some of those things, but like it's small moments rather than like entire things, right? I went to Hatno Village. People did not give a shit about me in Breath of the Wild, in Tears of the Kingdom, rather. Right? They had their own stuff going on. They had like political drama. I had to help out with an election. None of it had anything to do with Link's quest, and that's like, I enjoy that in a Zelda game because that feels like Wind Waker, where you go to like a new island and there's like, hey, these people that are just like out here living their lives, and I felt like nobody in Breath of the Wild really got to live a life outside of Link's story. Whereas like in Tears of the Kingdom, it's like much more apparent most of the time that people are like doing their own things.
I will say, I do feel like the sky is Wind Waker.
Yep.
It's a whole bunch of like, some big islands, some small islands just floating in the sky, nothing between them. It's just Wind Waker.
We haven't even talked about the subterranean stuff, which I haven't even gotten to yet. Apparently that's a whole nother third of the game.
Okay, so yeah, basically there's the entire map. There's another one. So just underneath Hyrule, there's another Hyrule. Which is like kind of, I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of like A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, how you have like the Dark World and Lorule. How it's just like, hey, there's just like this whole other map that's kind of the same but different.
Sorry, Hyrule and Lorule, that's like the best, dumbest name ever.
It was very funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. I have stopped wandering lately. I've started like going through the story stuff because wandering is not really like appealing to me anymore. But
I will say I wandered yesterday and stupid 3-headed dragon one-shot my horse.
Oh my god. Yeah, the 3-headed dragons, and like you think, okay, like I can see it far off in the distance. It definitely can't reach me. And then like a health bar comes up at the top of your screen, and then you're dead. Which is a lot of fun because also they removed one-shot protection. So Breath of the Wild has this thing where you cannot possibly die if you're at full health from a single shot. Right, you will always be left with a quarter heart. Just go on in Tears of the Kingdom. You can get one shot by just like random dudes on the side of the road, which makes it a lot more tense. But also less cheesy. So
I haven't seen these dragons.
Yeah, I think they appear in one trailer for like half a second.
Does it look like King Ghidorah? Is that the whole deal?
No, they're Gleeoks.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I do wish, in terms of like things they would have added, so the recipes for cooking and all that. I wish there was a way to like, you go to the Great Fairy to upgrade your clothes. I would love to be able to like mark on the map or on the side of the screen what items I need to upgrade something, because I have a vague recollection of what I need to upgrade this pants that I'm wearing, but I don't know, so I have to go all the way back to the fairy, go through all the cutscene crap, have her tell me what she can or can't upgrade, and then make a note of what I need, and then go out and get it all. Be nice if I could just get told that at once and know it.
Again,
Playing
Horizon
through a
Zero.
game. Sorry.
I was gonna say Horizon Forbidden West fix that problem.
Yes.
I was saying when I'm playing through a game, like my phone camera roll is just like photos of like things I'm trying to remember for the future. I do a mass purge when I'm done.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point actually. You could just use the screenshot feature on your Switch.
Yeah, cool.
I've been doing that, but it's annoying still. Anyway, it sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days, which makes it the fastest selling Switch game in North America and Europe, and tied in Japan with Pokemon. So yeah, people are clearly enjoying it, and it's probably going to sell a bunch. I do not think it'll outsell Scarlet and Violet in the long run, but I think it'll do well regardless.
I'm just really looking forward to having more time to really sink into it and playing it, and then coming back to report my experience.
Oh, I mean, last weekend, I wanted to go get some arrows, and I was running towards the town, the one in front of the castle. I was like, cool, I'll go there, I'll get what I need. And then I saw something off in the distance, so I was like, oh, I'll go mark it on the map. And then I saw something else, and then, like 2 hours later, I was like, hang on, what was it? Oh shit! I'm still having those moments where I'm just like getting so lost in the world. But yeah, so I'm still loving it. I just wish there was something more to it.
Quick question: is the towns that we see in multiple Zelda games, is it pronounced Kakariko or Kakariko? I've always thought it was Kakariko, but recently I can't remember where I heard something from. I think it was an official Nintendo thing somewhere or a Zelda thing. They pronounced it Kakariko, and I was like, I beg your pardon?
God, I have to look this up.
I've always just said Kakariko.
Yeah, same. What about you, Ollie? What about you, Michael?
Kakariko as well.
Yeah, I would say Kakariko.
Yeah, someone's pulling a fast one on us. But that's all right. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, so yeah, enjoying it. Normally we'll talk about the games we're playing here, but we already talked about the games we're playing. It's just Zelda. But Michael wants to talk about Overwatch 2, because there's a
new segment. Michael tells Blizzard what he thinks.
Now I feel like I'm pressured to say what I'm saying. I wasn't holding an amiibo. I scanned my first amiibo ever, by the way. This is the first time I've ever used one playing Breath of the Wild.
It's blurring in and out. Is it the Link one?
Sorry. Yeah, it's the Link one, the Smash Bros one.
Nice.
I wanted a Epona, so.
I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask amiibo. Those look really sweet.
They got restocked everywhere, so they're around.
I might try to get one.
Anyway, Blizzard, awful.
Yeah.
So Overwatch 2 came out, obviously, last year, and it came out in beta, quote unquote. So they destroyed Overwatch 1 and rolled out Overwatch 2, changed the gameplay style, added microtransactions. So changed from 6v6 to 5v5, and the loot box system changed into a microtransaction and what's it called? A battle pass.
Battle pass.
Thank you. With the promise that the PvE or single player content will be coming out sometime this year or in the future. So that would have been some story mode content, so some story mode co-op stuff, and a whole PvE subsection to the game. And now just this week, they've announced that the PvE co-op modes are just gone. They couldn't do it, guys. 4, 5, 6 years of development, just they couldn't figure it out. And so it was announced, I think it was announced like 4 years ago. So that means they would have been working on it years before that if they announced it in 2018. So I can't even imagine how many years of work has just been put in the bin, and they just couldn't figure it out. Now, they did say the story mode content, I think, is still coming. So little story mode stuff is still there, which is great, don't get me wrong. That's some stuff like I do actually want to play. But at the same time, so many people in the Overwatch 1 community have now, lost the game that they played. So Overwatch 1 is gone because it just got taken over by Overwatch 2. And they basically put up with years of no content, like whatsoever, because of the promise of this game that Overwatch 2 was going to come and it's going to change things up and it's going to add all this amazing PvE stuff, and that's what they're working on. And it just turned out, well, I guess it wasn't a lie. Like, obviously, I assumed they were actually working on it, but it's just gone, and it's just horrible. Like, this game has just been so fumbled. So now Overwatch is just basically this transaction ridden multiplayer game that's free to play, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to have in the future.
Speaking of microtransactions, I don't know if you posted this in the thing or if I saw it on Twitter. Could go either way. But I saw that basically, if you did all of the like weekly and daily challenges and stuff to get the currency, right? Only this week would you be able to afford a legendary skin.
Yeah, it's
if
wild,
you never
right?
spent a single piece of premium currency and did every single challenge that you can possibly do to earn that currency, like 7 months, 8 months after the game came out, you can only just now get a legendary skin.
I never thought in my gaming life I would be sitting here right now defending loot boxes and how much better loot boxes were than this. But this is where this is going.
Sure.
Like, as much as loot boxes is not great in any capacity, it is so much better than this current system. Like, so much better. At least you could just get content by playing the game. And don't get me wrong, you have to play, a substantial amount of games to unlock, at this point, a ridiculous amount of content that's been added through the years. But you can at least do it without paying any money, bar the entrance price of buying the game. Now it's just an absolute money hole. It's just awful.
The only thing I can say is hopefully Microsoft get to purchase Activision, because Microsoft never cancel features that they promise to people.
Except for the, all of the ones that they have. I mean,
like promising to make Halo a good game again.
Yeah,
well, I was thinking the Halo online multiplayer.
Or Scalebound. That popped up on Twitter the other day after how many years of being killed.
It's coming, baby.
I don't think that's necessarily Microsoft's fault. I think Platinum has had some troubles, to say the least, and are just kind of shitting the bed on a lot of things right now. Because I mean, do you remember what was that game that they did, that Platinum did, that like lasted?
Oh, Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's Fall. Everybody remember Babylon's Fall? The Platinum game that was like out for like 2 months, and then they're like, yeah, no, we're shutting this down. Which like originally
after 2 months, they were like, we're gonna we've got an expansion coming. It's gonna fix a lot of issues, and then like weeks later, we're like, yeah, no, the game's dead.
Yeah, it fell to one concurrent player on Steam.
Yeah, I saw that and I laughed.
That's wild.
That was the best thing I'd ever seen.
And like the really like disappointing part is that it started as a single player action game, and then they transitioned it into a, live service multiplayer, always online kind of thing. And
wasn't that a Square decision though?
Yeah, it was a Square decision.
Yeah,
because of course it was. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that is just like, why are you doing this?
Going back to Blizzard, like Blizzard's not really a stranger to this kind of vaporware thing. I mean, they did have like StarCraft Ghosts, 20 years ago.
Yeah, Overwatch in itself was made from a vaporware game.
Yeah. Titan, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Titan, Project Titan, the future MMO.
Yeah, so like, and they're absolutely guilty of this, trend that's been popular over the last 10 years of announcing a game and then just letting it linger for the next 5 years before they finally release it. Again, like the Overwatch 2 PvE stuff. Like they're just constantly just dangling carrots. Unfortunately, people just keep injecting money into that company, man. Like Diablo 4 comes out next month. Like, but that one, all signs seem to be positive on that game at the moment. But Diablo 3, when that launched, like it was riddled with all sorts of problems with the auction house and then always online and all this kind of stuff. Like we'll see how Diablo 4 will launch if there's some controversy around that as well. The beta seems
there will be because there's microtransactions in Diablo 4, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Battle passes and seasons, and they really want you to like start a new character every single season, and
unless people's outlook on the game has changed after this announcement, like from what I've seen of how the game's been performing prior to this, Like they, from a monetary point of view, they 100% made the right decision because I think they're just making bank from the game.
I do wonder, like, obviously it's been a long time since they were acquired by Activision or merged or whatever you want to call it. But I do wonder how much of this is a Blizzard decision versus an Activision decision, considering that Activision isn't really publishing many games anymore. Like they've pretty much just got Call of Duty and whatever Blizzard cooks up. And they're huge money makers, and they're always about just getting as much money out of existing IP as humanly possible. So yeah, I just wonder.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, like the people that made Blizzard what Blizzard was are just not there anymore, right?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
The vast majority of those people that like made Blizzard a great company just don't exist anymore.
It's the same thing to say about like Rare, for example, and Retro Studios. You know, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
These companies that have a huge legacy of creating such amazing games that people love, like they're long gone at this point.
Yeah. Anyway, Overwatch 2, don't play it. The moral of the story, it's not worth it. Just don't.
Or at least wait till it officially leaves beta state.
I think it's fun to play. Just don't put any money in it.
The
reason I mentioned it is because what was it, Multiverses, that Warner Brothers fighting game?
Oh my god!
There was a beta that had seasons, had paid content. People were going all into it, and then they went, "Oh, by the way, we're pulling the game. It'll come out in 2024." And everyone went, "But you released it." And it's like, no, it never left beta. It was still.
The thing is, it's this Fortnite trick where like Epic Games discovered that if you put a game in beta or early access, you don't have to go through the normal certification process for updates. So they can push out as many updates as a week as they like to the game on different consoles and stuff, and they don't have to go through the regular cert process because it's, a beta. So, they're just improving the beta for full launch. And that's exactly what all of these other games do.
What I'm going to do eventually is I'm just going to open up a restaurant and serve people all these fancy meals that were really expensive, and I'm just going to tell, like, just take their food away and be like, sorry, like, that's in beta, like, you can only eat, like, the entree. The other two courses will come in 2 or 3 years. Like, don't worry about it. See how that goes. Yeah. I'm sure I'll make massive bank for that.
I mean,
anyway, fuck Blizzard, right?
Yeah, honestly, for so many reasons, but like, obviously not just the Overwatch thing. They still have like massive culture issues, and as far as we can tell, those haven't really been resolved. They've still done like horrible like union busting bullshit. So, fuck them. All right, moving on to 20 questions, which Michael is leading because we keep forgetting to make Michael the person who does 20 questions. So for the rest of this year, it's just going to be Mike. No, it's not. It's not going to be Michael for the rest of the year. But this time it is. So, yeah.
Well, I am ready if you are ready.
All right, my question. Does this game have microtransactions?
Is that actual question? Sorry, there was a dog bark at my door, like right as you said that. I was like, what?
Yeah, sure, that can be the question. That can be my question.
No.
Okay.
No.
Wait, is that an actual question?
Yeah, that's a question.
I said no. I said no, and I'm not counting as a question.
Oh, okay.
It does not have microtransactions.
I was legit, but okay.
It would have like immediately narrowed it down to like Switch or Wii U though, so.
Sure.
But yeah. Alright, was this game released on or after the 1st of January 2000?
It was not, no.
Okay. So 1999 or earlier. So
was this game released on a home console?
Yes, it was.
Does this game have 3D graphics?
No.
Oh, too bad Lilac Wars and Stunt Racer FX.
I mean, it doesn't rule out Nintendo 64, but it makes it pretty unlikely, huh?
It narrows it down considerably, but...
I mean, I'm guessing like Super Nintendo, but hoping for NES. Just because NES is like such a small library.
The NES ones are hard.
No, there's like 6 games on the NES. It's easy.
Only one way to find out.
That is true.
Yeah, go on.
Was this game released on the original Nintendo Entertainment System?
This game was not released on the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
Thank God.
Okay.
Keyword original. Joking.
Yeah, well, it's like, what are you talking about?
It's on the fucking Famicom disk system.
So it's some hell deep cut.
No. I was thinking because they did that weird vertical.
The top letter.
Yeah. Maybe they did some game that only worked on that
The
version.
dog
of the
bone
system.
controller.
So I mean that almost guarantees it's on the Super Nintendo, right? Almost. Because there were 2D games on the Nintendo 64, but not many. Alright, I think we kind of need... Was this game a platformer?
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking F-Zero. Just because, a random guess.
Did this game have any multiplayer?
Hold on. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Yes, no, definitely didn't. I was just literally trying to remember. I was like, did it? No, it did not.
Okay.
Okay, so that honestly probably knocks out puzzle games, because most puzzle games have some sort of multiplayer mode.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably also not like a side-scrolling beat-em-up, because pretty much all of those, like Double Dragon and all of that, have...
Removes fighters, beat-em-ups, most sports games.
Haven't decided if this game is hard or not. Like, I can see it falling either way. That either we're going to get to the end, you guys are going to be like, that's bullshit, or we'll be like, yeah, it's totally fine.
Also, it's a single player...
There wasn't some random Wizard of Oz game on the Super Nintendo, was there?
It's a single player non-platforming game.
I mean, Final Fantasies.
Okay, is this game currently playable on the Nintendo Switch in any form?
No.
Okay, so that knocks out all of the Nintendo Switch Online games.
It's a good question. I think we've had that before.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, like, because you mentioned Final Fantasy, and I was like, okay, well, if it's a Final Fantasy, then it would have to be in the Pixel remasters.
And all the Dragon Quest, well, the 3 original NES Dragon Quests are on there.
Yeah, and then you've got, like, Secret of Mana and stuff like that as well, so...
Yep.
Chrono Trigger.
There's no Chrono Trigger on the Switch, unfortunately.
No, that's my point.
So,
it could be Chrono Trigger.
It could be.
Is this... Should I ask if it's an adventure game or an RPG, do we think?
You could ask about developer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, like, if it's a multi-platform game, because that'll knock out, like, a few
things as well. Is this game multi-platform?
This game is not multi-platform.
Okay. That honestly kind of does knock out, like, a whole bunch of stuff, because, like... Most third-party things were also in the Mega Drive in some way, or other things.
Was this game developed by Nintendo?
Yes, it was developed by Nintendo.
Okay. So single-player Nintendo-made game that's not a platformer.
Oh god, that...
And not in 3D. That does narrow it down quite a bit. Can't be Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong
Were
Country.
there any non-platformer games from Nintendo on the Super Nintendo?
Yeah. I mean, all of the Zeldas.
Yep.
You mean the one?
Well, in Japan, there was also like a remaster-ish of the original, but yeah.
Why am I forgetting every game that Nintendo made? Oh, Pilot Wings?
Would you class that as having 3D graphics, though?
I think I've had this discussion before, whether or not like mode 7 classifies as 3D. I mean, I'd argue that a mode 7 type of game is playing in a third dimension because there's depth. But
I mean, we know it's not Mario Kart because that has multiplayer.
Yep.
and also it's not playable on Switch. So that's the thing, right? It's developed by Nintendo, but not playable on Switch, which means there's only like a couple things it could be.
Well, that's of course assuming we're talking about Super Nintendo. It could be a 64 game.
I was about to point that out as well.
Yeah.
But what's a 2D game or a non-3D game that's on N64 that's done by Nintendo?
Tetris World? Tetris 64?
Sphere? Is that what you mean?
Sphere.
That's 3D.
It has 3D elements, but it's not 3D.
It is 3D. It's a sphere.
Yeah, but there's also non-3D parts to it as well.
But it is a 3D game, though. Like, the whole point is that the blocks come from the foreground and they go onto a sphere.
True.
It's totally sphere. Yeah.
You guys
it's
also
remember
a puzzle
Wetris?
game, and that would have multiplayer. So
Yeah. Do you guys remember Wetris? That was
No.
a weird game. It was literally Tetris, but like with water. It was so weird. Wetrix? I think it was Wetris. It's very odd.
Wario. I know. There was the Wario games back then were platformers.
I mean, there was.
Oh, Super Mario RPG? No, that's not Nintendo.
I still can't believe that's not on Switch Online.
There was a
Paper Mario
like
60.
light gun games with Yoshi in it, right?
Like Super Scope? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like that, but with Yoshi in it.
I don't recall.
There was a Yoshi.
Are you thinking of
Yoshi
Turok
like-
Dinosaur Hunter?
No, there was a Yoshi game where you were like Yoshi and you like fucking grabbed eggs out of the. Anyway, it was a light gun thing.
there was Yoshi. Are you thinking of Turok?
I mean, it's a fair question, you know.
That's a leap.
If I could play Turok 2 with the Super Scope and use it as the cerebral ball, that'd be sick.
Alright, was this game on the N64?
This game was not on the N64.
Okay. I needed to get that
Okay.
out there.
We are halfway down, my friends.
I feel like we're not doing badly. We're not on the right track, but I don't think we're on the wrong track.
Could it be SimCity? Have we had that before?
Don't
I
know.
want to say
Was that
we
it?
have, because
that
I
Nintendo
remember
developed?
talking about it.
I remember talking about it. I don't know if we had it.
Was that Nintendo
I
developed?
unfortunately can't check the list
Yeah, it
without
was
like
Nintendo
blocking
developed.
the video.
Okay.
There's also like Mario Paint. Mario Paint, that's a thing.
Mhm. Oh, Earthbound? Oh, that's on the Switch.
Yeah.
Earthbound 2?
I mean,
Mother 3.
Mother 3 was a GBA game, so unlikely.
I don't care about that series at all. So
Look, technically the GBA is a handheld SNES, so...
True. All right. Is this an adventure game?
This is not an adventure game.
Okay. Okay. Would you say that there's a creative element to this game?
I would say that there's a creative element to this game.
Okay.
Mario
so I'm
Paint?
thinking Mario Paint is like
I mean,
maybe that.
you could just
The
ask
only
if there was a peripheral sold with the game initially.
I'm just thinking. Is there anything else?
Didn't that have multiplayer though?
I don't know.
I mean, the box is behind me. I could double check it.
Did this game have a composer in it?
You mean like a thing you do to
make music.
compose music?
Yep.
Yes, this game did have that in it.
Okay. But then the Mario Paint or something that we don't know.
A ROM hack of some sort.
Did this
Can
game
you imagine
come with
doing
a
a ROM
mouse?
hack in 2020?
Yeah.
If anyone's going to do it, it'll be me.
No, I would absolutely do like the Legend of Zelda Link Gets Late or something.
Did this game come with a mouse peripheral?
This game did come with a mouse peripheral.
Okay, so it's Mario Paint.
Well, I think
There
it
we
was
go.
you, Ollie, who was on that.
Yeah,
trail.
sure. So I'll ask: is this game Mario Paint? I don't care about the rest of the questions.
Oh, well, okay, fine. With that final guess, you would have had 5 questions left. But developed by Nintendo R&D 1 and Intelligent Systems, published by Nintendo and released in December 1992, this is a creation game for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Packaged with the Super Nintendo mouse, this game contains a graphics editor, an animation program, and a music composer, and a point-and-click minigame. I'm, of course, talking about the amazing game show classic Mario Paint.
Nice.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was worried for a moment there. I was like, wait a minute. I know that there was like a version of Sim Ant on Super Nintendo, and I know that it has a composer as well, but I didn't know who developed it.
That was done by EA back then, or Maxis, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm glad that fell on the easy side of the wall there, because I was like, oh man, this could really go either way.
No, I think it's actually a really good suggestion.
Yeah,
really
the moment you
in that
say
direction.
Nintendo developed, not a platformer, you're kind of like, ooh. Yeah, especially back in the Super Nintendo days.
I just want to quickly point out that the Australian comedian Gabby Bolts on Twitter has posted a few musical arrangements of just various random tunes, like the VB ad that used to be on TV.
I saw that.
She composed it in Mario Paint and has done a few other ones as well. So I highly recommend looking her up. It's just at Gabby Bolt. Gabby spelled Gabbi. She's also quite funny.
Yep.
She's a very good musical comedian based in Melbourne.
Nice.
Melbourne.
Well, that about wraps up this week's Vookcast. I think it's a bit of a longer one, maybe. Who knows? I have not been keeping track of it. To visit the site www.vooks.net for all your Nintendo news, reviews, and everything in between. To keep up to date, follow the site on Twitter at vooks.net, which is all spelled out. Or jump on over to our Discord at bit.ly/VooksDiscord, which is all lowercase. You can find all of our social information, links for the stories covered in this episode in the episode notes on whatever platform you're listening to. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next fortnight, hopefully.